Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast designed to help you feel, let's do that again. I stuffed up the intro. This is why people should watch your videos, because usually if there's any mistakes, it's from me. So I'm going to do it again. I'm feeling really old. I'm looking at everybody here, and I've got this old dude in the middle. Okay, here we go.
That's why I'm here too, don't worry.
Okay. See, when you listen to the podcast, you think, wow, it just seems so professional all the time. No, here we go. Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends podcast. The podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today, I have 4 QUT students who have just finished their 3rd year and are heading into their 4th year. So we're going to talk about what they've learned in podiatry so far, what they're looking forward to next year, and once they graduate. So with me today is Josh Taylor, Caitlin Leslie, Bridget Hayward, and Evelyn Lou.
Yes.
Yes, I got that right.
Yes.
So their names a big pause. So welcome to the podcast. And so where should we start? I'll start with you, Josh, because you've been on the podcast once before. I cannot remember the exact episode number. You might. Do you remember it?
It was 185. Yeah.
185. There you go. And it was podiatry is better than accountancy, or podiatry beats accountancy. I think that's what we called it.
That's right. Yeah, like the podiatry trumps accounting or accountancy. And thanks for having me back and, letting me bring some friends along as well.
No, well, that was the idea. I wanted to get you back, and then you threw out the idea, I'd be great if I brought on some other students. So you went around and you handpicked the did you ask a lot of students?
These are the top 3 who I wanted to pick, and then they would just jump straight on board. They already knew about you, and that's why it wasn't a hard sell.
Okay, that's
good. You're making us blush.
Oh, it's making me blush too. So with you, or Caitlin, Evelyn, and Bridget, have you listened to many of the episodes of the podcast? You can lie. You can lie. Just go, yeah.
I have listened to a few.
Yeah, I listened to a few of them. Yeah.
I listened to Josh's episode, but yeah.
Yeah, you need to listen to more.
Yeah, I heard about that one. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with you, Caitlin. What, with podiatry so far, you've just finished your 3rd year. What was it about podiatry that got you interested in the first place?
Well, I guess I really liked the hands-on clinical practice that we got. I guess coming from a background, I did a year of nutrition prior to moving into podiatry, and I just knew making that switch, it was such a different experience. And yeah, I really liked it. It was, a really nice team, great supervisors, and it was just different from what I've ever done. So I really liked it.
Okay.
I kind of always stuck with it.
That's good. Bridget, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with what Caitlin said. I find that compared to a lot of other degrees, you get a lot of one-on-one time and a lot more synchronicity with all the lecturers, and you get to make such good friends because everyone's in such close proximity to each other, having only 30 people in our cohort. And I just think that having such a tight-knit group of people all doing the same thing, it was just a really good experience, and it's just helped us all stay together the whole way.
So what was it about podiatry that interested you in the first place, Bridget?
I honestly, from when it was a couple of weeks before our QTAC forms were due, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had the OP where I could kind of go where I wanted to go, but I always knew I wanted to do something in health.
Yeah.
And then my guidance counselor was like, have you ever heard of podiatry before? And I was like, no, what's podiatry? And like every year 12 kid, I don't think anyone's heard of podiatry, but she talked me through it, and I was like, oh, I want to help people. I want to explore some type of medicine. That sounds amazing. And I said to myself, if I don't enjoy it after the first semester, I can switch out. But I loved it ever since, and I just decided to stay into it because I really enjoyed it.
Okay, that's great. Now, Evelyn, what about you? How did you find out about podiatry? Because you told me before you were from China.
Yes.
And you taught yourself to speak English. You told us before we press record, and your English is better than mine, I think.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. I think my background, my story, kind of a little bit complicated. So I did physiotherapy back home in China. I finished the degree, and it turns out I don't really feel like I want to be a kind of physio person. I love helping people, but I always feel like I want to do something else. And just my university in China had this collaboration program with QUT University. So I can choose to like study podiatry or sports science after graduation. It's kind of optional things, and I feel like podiatry sounds fun. Like honestly, I don't know what podiatry is before I came to Australia.
Yeah.
But then later, after 1 or 2 years studying, I feel like I really enjoy exactly what I want. Because like a lot of hands-on, and have chance to talk to your patients, in a consulting room. So I really
They don't just have their head down at a bench, and and the person's talking to the floor.
Yeah. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I keep falling asleep every time I go to the physio to get treatment, and they're talking. I have these little micro sleeps all the time, and I must have these really weird dreams. Like I'm going this afternoon. I went last Friday, and all of a sudden I've just blurted out pelicans, and he's like, "What?" And I went, "What?" He goes, "What is it about pelicans?" I went, "Oh, no. Did I say pelicans? No, I meant something else." And it's really bad. Happens to me all the time. Oh no, it has nothing to do with anything we're talking about. Sorry. So Josh, you've had you on before, and we know that you came across podiatry. You were doing accountancy, and you found podiatry a lot more interesting. Now that you've finished your 3rd year and you've got 1 year to go, how exciting is it knowing you've only got 1 year before you finish?
It's really exciting, and like the first 3 years, I think has flown by so quickly. Like the first year, it was a lot of online work with COVID, and then moving into clinical practice the last 2 years. Really exciting. I think I'm more and more happy with the decision as the more you progress throughout the degree. And you've sort of learnt so much throughout that time, and I definitely made the right decision to do podiatry over accounting.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. So are you still like getting 100% for everything at uni at the moment?
Dropped down to about 96, but that's okay.
I'm disappointed. What did you get wrong?
I don't know. They just, maybe it was the photocopier just cut a little bit off there.
Yeah, that could be it. So how the rest of the other three, how do you compare to Josh's excellence in his studies?
I mean, Josh is the gold standard, isn't he? I think we all strive to be him. He's amazing. You should see him in clinic. He's just got his head in the game. But we all do really well, I think. Like we've all, I think, got our head in the game pretty well too, and very focused and driven towards that goal. So
yeah, well, I think
I speak on behalf of us.
Well, I think it's good when you have someone like the thing I noticed with Josh is not only is he obviously doing really, really well at university and getting great marks, is he's actually normal as well. Because I remember when I went through, and we had a couple of people that went through with us who got really, really good marks, and they weren't normal. Yeah, and
some people are like that. Yeah, like they don't have maybe the people skills, or they're just about textbooks. But like I said, the beautiful thing I've seen about not only these three, but a lot of people throughout the degree, they've really grown throughout the degree. Like a few like different instances I've seen. It's just really nice for me to be able to see it too. Like you see people growing and like take accountability. They didn't know something, and then you just happen to see them in clinic like 6 months later, and like they've flourished and they've really improved. And so it's really nice to see people like your own cohort progress throughout the degree. And it's nice because everyone seems to get a job once you finish podiatry, so you feel like you're not competing with each other, you're just trying to improve yourself. And that means you can be happy for the other people, and you can help them and you'll help each other, which is really nice.
Well, that's what they say. Yeah, rising tide lifts all boats. So I think the more you can actually stay together as a group and try and help each other out, not only does it help you now as a student, but when you actually graduate, if you can all stay together and just keep sharing ideas, and if you've got an area that you feel you might be a little bit weak in, and you can ask another person within your group, do they know the answer? You're all going to benefit from it. Sometimes that doesn't always happen. You graduate, you get in a job, and you're too scared to actually ask questions. So I'm going to go around. Caitlin, what part of podiatry are you enjoying the most? Is it biomechanics, wound care? Which parts really interest you?
Well, we finished a surgery subject, which I quite enjoyed. We don't get a lot of like hands-on like experience with that, besides the one semester we just finished. But besides that, I did enjoy pediatrics. That was a tough one, but it's quite interesting for me. But I also liked, wound care. It's quite interesting as well. So there's a few different areas I enjoy. It's just kind of deciding which one I want to stick with. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with being interested in all aspects of podiatry. That's fine. So what about you, Bridget? Is there a certain part that you really enjoy?
Wound care and high risk initially caught my eye when we started that subject. I just think I like the continuity of it and just being able to look after that patient throughout the whole stage of their wound care and till the end to try and hopefully see them get better. But I agree with Caitlin, peds is a very complex subject, but that I also enjoy peds too.
See, this is almost like a job interview. There will be podiatrists listening to this going, they're writing down your names and they're going to listen to all these answers and they're going to start, you're going to get a lot of job offers, I reckon, after this. So, Evelyn, what about you? Is there a certain part of podiatry you enjoy more than another?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much like Caitlin. I'm kind of very interested about nail surgery at the moment and also high risk. Biomechanics kind of, because I treat some patients that I think are potentially this problem, and I make some like issue accommodations, and patients instantly feel much better. I feel like really happy, have such good fulfillment that they improve their pain. I think it's pretty interesting. Yes, I think this top three is kind of interesting. Yeah.
Okay, and what about you, Josh? I'm pretty sure you were into the sports side of things, weren't you?
Definitely, and I probably sound like a broken record, but yeah, like sports, orthotics, biomechanics, like therapeutic exercises. That's why I think I wanted to come into podiatry in the first place. From while I was an accountant Monday to Friday, I worked in the shoe shop on weekends and like helping people with their movement and like assessing their gait and matching like the right shoe to the right person. That's what really got me interested. And so I still think, I love doing the general care. You have the person is so like grateful for you, but then I sort of also like, when someone comes in and you can help them with some kind of musculoskeletal pain. I think like some of the others said as well, like now that we've done the surgery, that gave you a little like sort of taste of that as well. And if you did want to, you could even progress that after uni and, potentially become like a pod surgeon, or, that's always an option as well.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you another question about, like, as students now, you're probably getting information, like you're hearing stuff from your lecturers, you're learning a lot of stuff. Do you have much contact with the profession at all? Like what's actually happening in the profession? Are you hearing or seeing anything? Are the things that concern you, or are there things that you're excited about?
I guess like,
Bridget. No, Bridget, you go
Bridget,
first.
you go.
Well, I've worked in a podiatry clinic for a couple of years now. So since I was in the start of second year, and I just think that's been just priceless, just experience. And I've encouraged a few of my friends to also get jobs at podiatry clinics, because I just think you're right in what you say. We learn as much as we learn at clinic, which is the theory and the clinical part, but actually like the job and out in practice, it's completely different to what we experience in the QUT clinics as students. And so I think, working at that podiatry clinic for so long, even just as admin, has given me so much priceless experience that I can take into my job as well.
Okay, that's great. What about Caitlin? Have you seen anything like within the profession that excites you or concerns you?
Well, I don't work at any podiatry clinic, so I kind of just get all my clinical experience like straight from uni. But I think.
So, what are the lecturers? I'll interrupt you there. What are the lecturers telling you? Are they starting to tell you anything yet about this is what you can expect when you get out?
Yeah, well, I actually did have a really good chat to one of my supervisors on clinic the other day, and they were just kind of really giving insight into like what kind of jobs you can expect to look at, or what kind of opportunities you can have like moving through the podiatry field. We have one supervisor who's doing her fellowship for pediatric surgery, and she was going through with me just what to expect, and all the hours you have to put in and whatnot. And she said that's just one part of it you can do. So she really just told me that's what you can do if you want to do it, but otherwise I feel like all the supervisors have a bit of insight into their different specialties. So it's exciting, I think, for me to know that if I go into something I enjoy or don't enjoy later on, then I can switch or explore something else, because there's so many professions within the degree.
Oh, there is. There's so many, and I think, like, I know you've listened to at least one episode, which was Josh's, but if you go through the other 200 episodes plus that are there, and you have a listen to some of the stories and some of the exciting things that the podiatrists that is just happening in our profession, I tell you, you'll never want to leave. I feel sorry for podiatrists that have already quit the profession and left. I just think, you dumb buggers. You don't know what you just gave up. So Evelyn, what about you?
Well, I don't think I know that much like the other people's about like what it looks like, but I do listen to the two episode that talks about people why leave podiatry. I'm kind of interested, like, want to listen to different voices of that. But I feel like I will accept the challenge in future, and I think I don't know what it looks like, because sounds like sometimes could be really stressful working in clinic, and we don't actually, as a new grads, don't have very much time with the patients sometimes, compared with the amount of time we spent with patients in uni. So that kind of bit the point kind of stressed me out. I feel like I'm kind of a bit slow sometimes. But I think I can overcome it in future.
Oh, you will. Like, when you graduate, it's a huge transition from being a student to actually being in a practice. And it is one of those things too, and it depends where you work. And I was talking to someone yesterday who's been out for a long time, like I have, and I said, there's enough of us that we know who has a good employment opportunity and who doesn't. We know the dodgy jobs. We know the clinics that are good ones to work at and ones that you should probably try and avoid. And I actually recommend students send me an email, and I can put you in touch with so many podiatrists that I know are actually looking for podiatrists in the future, whether it's next year, the year after, and all that. There's a lot of us, we all know each other. So don't just take the first job that comes on offer. Is really sort of look around. And it's not saying that you're going to be really picky and go, oh no, I don't like the color of those uniforms, but it's just be aware that there's a lot of really, really good opportunities out there. So Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I think in even the last 6 to 12 months, in clinic at uni, there's been a push for the supervisors to be more of like a clinician-based like history rather than some of the academics coming over. So it's good you get taught like by the academics more in lectures, and then you get to hear like more current real world stories from like the supervising team in clinic. And so it's good always just to have a bit of a chat with them, and everyone on different days. Like I was at clinic 4 days this week, in lots of different supervisors, and they all have different ideas about what's happening and how to do different things, so you can learn from them. And obviously, like, I really like listening to the podcasts as well. So it's normally about like 4 or 5 podcasts I like to sort of rotate through when all the new episodes come out. Like to do with like podiatry and physio and sports medicine. I think you can learn a lot from all around the world that way. So that's why like podcasting has been really influential, I think, as well.
Yeah, I definitely think, like I said, the guests that I've had on here, some of the things that they're doing, I'm just going, wow, I wish I had heard all this when I was a student. It really would have just opened my mind up to what was possible, not sort of having blinkers on. So have any of you been offered jobs yet? Other than you, Bridget, because you're working at a podiatry clinic. So I assume you're probably going to work there when you graduate? Just throwing it out there.
That, and I've always kind of had my eye on the public health system.
Okay.
I know a few people up in Cairns Base Hospital who I've been having a bit of a chat to, but yeah, I'm not really sure yet. But I think ever since I started, I was more like towards the public health and hospital system rather than a private clinic. But I also know that it is a very easy route to get for as a new grad into a private clinic.
Yeah.
So I'm weighing up my options, I think, still.
Yeah, well, someone I was talking to again just recently, and we were talking about it on another podcast, that even if you end up in a job that you're not, say Josh, for example, say Josh really likes sports, biomechanics and orthotics, but he ended up in a job where that was only a small part of the work and they weren't letting him do it because they didn't trust him from the beginning, which I think is a mistake. I reckon you should throw everybody in at the deep end and train them fast. But that's just my methodology. But if he has a real interest in that area, that's in your spare time. You just need to keep that parts you're interested in. So Josh, for example, might end up in a sports clinic where that's all he's doing 100%. But if he still has an interest in wounds, then he needs to allocate some time to keep educating himself in that area. So Caitlin, Evelyn, you got anything, had any offers thrown at you yet? Or are you thinking private, public? Or...
Not really. I haven't got any offers. And I'm trying to keep an open mind in my final year. I really am just going to go where the year takes me and just kind of see where my interests lie at the end of the year. So I'm not really set on anything.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I had no idea what I was doing when I graduated. Evelyn, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty similar with Caitlin. I'm kind of open to any options because it seems public system is hard to get in as a new grad. So probably focus more on the private system and to see about different kind of, because there's more cases in private clinic. So probably start from there. Yeah.
Okay. And Josh, you've probably had a million job offers already.
I had to start blocking emails. No, I'm definitely still a free agent. I think in the next year, when we start doing more, say, like I have to do our public placement, and a lot of students will have to do their private placement too. So hopefully you can go to a few different places and get a sense of what it's like in a real clinic, and then hopefully you gel with the team there and be able to move forward with a job opportunity once you do graduate.
And you have to find, for going into your final year, you have to find the placements yourself, don't you?
Yeah, you're sort of allocated for your public placement in the hospitals. So, for example, mine will be in January, Ipswich Hospital, which is where I was born, actually. So that'll be interesting.
Okay.
I'm sure it's changed a little bit since then.
That's right, because you're a farm lad, aren't you? You're brought up on a farm.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. I was just telling my wife before about it.
Oh, right. I tell all my patients get to hear about it in clinic, and it's a little bit different. So I think, they enjoy the chat about the farming life too.
So on that topic, so Evelyn, I know you're from China, but Caitlin, are you from Brisbane, or are you from a regional or rural area and moved to Brisbane?
I'm from Brisbane. Yeah, always lived here all my life. So, yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to getting a job when you graduate, are you going to stay in Southeast Queensland because it's safe, or are you prepared to move out of Brisbane?
I would ideally like to stay here for the first 1 or 2 years, and then I'd like to probably just explore. See, I'm happy to move around, but I'd like to just stay put, get myself settled for a couple of years, and then make that decision.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was going to stay in Southeast Queensland my whole life, and then 30 years ago I went for a drive to Cairns, and I'm still here. I just came up for a look, and I just didn't go back. So, Bridget, what about you? Are you from Brisbane or another area?
Yeah, no, I'm Brizzy, born and raised, but I would definitely consider moving out of here. Obviously, I think, like Caitlin said, first couple of years, pawn off mum and dad a little bit, stay at home while I get myself settled in a job, but I would definitely be open to moving around rural and just around show, things like that.
Okay. Well, so Evelyn, I know, like I said, you're from China.
Yeah.
So you are from overseas. Are you thinking about going back to China at any stage, or you're going to stay in Australia?
No, I think we don't have podiatry in China. It's because different health system. There do some healthcare workers work as a podiatrist, but it's not. We don't have podiatry, the degree. So I stay in Australia. But I'm interested to move to Sydney with my partner.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's from Sydney, so we kind of want to like move back to Sydney, have a bit of change.
Yeah, Sydney's, yeah. I'm a Queenslander. What can I say? I just, don't get me started. I should have put on my Queensland jersey when we got on here. So, and Josh, you're a country lad from Ipswich. I take it you're probably going to stay in Queensland because you're a devout Queenslander as well.
So I think at least initially,
Yeah.
and, to see, I think there are a lot of job opportunities here as well. It's not like when I was doing accounting and finance, it seemed like a lot of the really cool jobs were down in Sydney, like in investment banks. But the good thing about podiatry is it's almost everywhere. And if you did want to, like I have family in the UK as well, so even if you wanted to go there for a little bit of a working holiday at some point, that's an option as well.
Oh, that's going to be my next question. Have any of you considered going overseas to work? I know Josh can go to the UK without a problem. Once again, I know a lot of people in the UK. So if you're looking for places over there that you could maybe be able to get jobs, just let me know. So, Caitlin, have you thought about working overseas?
Yeah, I have considered it once or twice. Like I said, I want to get settled first, like in the first 1 or 2 years. But yeah, I have thought about going overseas. I think it'd be a great opportunity, something different, change the scenery.
It would be. I've had a friend that I know, and I've helped him about getting a job in Bermuda.
Oh, lovely.
And that's sort of gone ahead. So that's pretty exciting. And it's a great job, really good job. Money was good as well. He's going to learn heaps. And I'm jealous. I wish I had done that when I graduated. Go to Bermuda would be fantastic. So, Bridget, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. I've always had a bit of a look around at where this job can take you, and I know it can take you a lot of places. So I would definitely be open to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can work in Canada or not, but I do know people there as well.
I think I was having a chat actually to one of my managers at work, and he said that I think in Canada it's more just like chiropody and not like he said he worked in, I can't remember the province, but that it was more just like exclusively like general nail care and not the biomechanical side of things from what he said.
Oh, I've had a couple of Canadian podiatrists / chiropodists on the podcast. And from what I can figure out, it's in Canada, for some reason, it's still called chiropody. They can't use the word podiatry. Well, they can't call themselves a podiatrist, but they still do everything that we do. So they're more trained like us. But because the American podiatrists do the surgery and everything there, they call themselves podiatrists and the others can't.
Right.
So it's like have you seen the guy, the toe bro?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, technically, over there, he's called a chiropodist. But he still does everything that we do. So they're still highly trained, just can't use the term. So it'd be a nice place to visit.
Definitely.
So, okay. Yeah. You just finished your third year. You've got 1 year to go. Is there an area of podiatry that you've touched on so far that you wished you had probably, maybe they'd spent more time teaching you? Is there something you've sort of brushed across, but you want more information? Not saying that you're weak in that area, but you found it really interesting. You wish there was more. So I'll start with you, Bridget. Mix up the order.
This isn't directly based on how much we learn, like content, but I was talking to some of my fourth year friends who graduated this year, and they said they kind of got chucked in the deep end around the sort of insurance registration, things like that.
Okay.
We haven't really covered very much of that, and I don't know if we do go into it very much, but they were saying they kind of had to figure it all out themselves. So it would be good, I think, to get covered on all that sort of legalities and things like that for when we graduate.
Okay, that's good. Evelyn, what about you?
I would say probably it's kind of my weakness, biomechanics.
Yeah.
I hope, like last year we study gait analysis, this unit. I feel really challenging, and after that it's more, we do have a lot of gait content throughout every semester, but it's not really I feel like it would be better to introduce gait like a bit more clinically, have a bit more explanation in a like clinic session.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yep.
It's I did an episode way back, and it was titled Understanding Biomechanics Using Guitar Chords. Now, I don't know if anyone here plays guitar at all, or plays any musical instrument. Anyone here play a musical instrument?
I play guitar.
Okay. So it's like when somebody says, oh, if you can learn 3 chords, you can play almost any song. Yeah, you can. You can play almost any song badly. Because just because you know those 3 chords doesn't mean you can do Stairway to Heaven and make something sound good. There's all these variations and different things that you can do. And I look at biomechanics the same way, that what they teach us at university, they teach us the chords, but it's then really up to yourselves as students to just constantly keep watching people. Every patient that comes in, even someone that's got a wound, every patient is a biomechanical patient. You can look at them biomechanically. So even if you're in general clinic, still think biomechanically and constantly just keep, and it's just the repetition that you do that you'll get better, as Bridget would understand with the guitar. So I've actually got a professional guitar player coming on the podcast. And well, actually, I'm gonna have a look at the date. He may have already been on. I can edit this part out.
I think I might work with him if we're thinking of the same person.
I think it would be. I can edit this out of the podcast. Oh no, he'll be on. It's going to be on after you. So I've got Bart Stenhouse. Yeah, Bart Stenhouse is coming on, and we're gonna, because he heard like the guitar episode that I did, and he sent me a message when I was in America, and he said, "Oh, really, it's sort of that just made sense." And I said, "Oh, do you want to come on and we can redo that whole episode, but we'll just talk a bit more about him being a professional guitar player, how he got into podiatry." And so it should be fun. So we're both going to have our guitars there, but I'll let him do all the playing because he's professional and I'm a hack. So where were we? Oh, Caitlin, is there an area that you feel or you wish there was a little bit more training on?
I feel like for me, it would probably be like Evelyn said, like biomechanics and also maybe orthotic prescription.
Okay.
I know that we get taught, well, this semester we get a patient, or we get partnered up and we make an orthotic for them. And we spend that whole semester focusing on that one person's prescription. And I feel like you get paired with a supervisor who's got one opinion on everything.
Yeah.
And you go into clinic, like I found this week, and even 2 supervisors have two different opinions about what prescription. And I feel like it is very subjective sometimes. So I feel like if we could get like a bit more, experience or practice around prescribing and making quick decisions, I think would benefit me, because sometimes I get caught up in, deciding what's right and wrong. And I find it challenging. So
that makes sense. One tip I can give you too, if you want to know more about doing prescriptions and getting better at it, if you can reach out to some of the laboratories and ask them if you can come in and just do some work experience and just work with them and watch what they do. And when you see all the different, whether it's cast scans and that coming through, and you see how they interpret those casts, because I don't know if they still, they probably still teach you, like when you're looking at a cast, whether the cast has been overpronated, oversupinated, whether it's been done the right way. I assume they still teach you all that. A couple of nods. Yeah. Nodding's no good for a podcast. I'll just point that out. But when I really started to understand, because I used to make my own, and when I graduated, I just kept making them, and the more I made, the more I understood what I was doing. So it's the same thing. It's just repetition. But if you can find a lab that will let you come in there and watch what they do, I think you'll learn a lot really fast. But it's true what you said. We had one patient, one orthotic the whole semester, and didn't learn a lot from it. So, actually, Caitlin, I'll ask you, when you said you have 2 supervisors, that had differing opinions, what was the differing opinion? I don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, just just something like minor, just like a modification they wanted to make to an orthotic, and one person they should do this, and one person thought that wouldn't really assist with the orthotic, and yeah, I don't know. For me, sometimes that in my head, it can confuse me a bit because I'm like, hold on, I'm trying to connect the dots myself, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
But
And this is the
I
other
feel
reason.
like through that but I think through that you learn like to make your own clinical decision. That's what I think going to fourth year you need to do. Yeah, so it's important, I guess.
But this is the part too, when you graduate and you do start working with someone, they've got to understand too, what you just said then about there's some confusion when you're at university and you've got supervisors that have different opinions. And then, yeah, in one more year, you've got to start making your own decisions when you're in the room with the patient. And I think employers are going to understand that this is why they need to be there to help you. And I think this is why they also need to give you as many patients as possible. But the faster they can train you, the better you're going to be. And your confidence goes through the roof if you kept really busy.
Yeah.
So,
it does.
Josh, is there any area of podiatry that you feel they had it covered more? Or you've just got it all nailed?
Well, one thing I think is done really well, say, is on one side of the coin is like the stepwise progression through the clinic. Like, say, just finished a week of clinic now, and as like the new fourth years, they're also the third years and the new second years, and they get to say watch us, and then they do some of the general patients, and we do some of the others. And it seems like just yesterday that say like we were that second year person, watching, and then it's sort of, you gradually build your skill set, which by watching and then doing and then teaching, which I think is really good. One thing I think, could be improved is getting to review the patients that you actually treated. And it's obviously that's really difficult from a scheduling standpoint because you're only on clinic certain days and patients book in at different times. But I think that would make students more accountable instead of just whacking something into the long-term plan and knowing that somebody else's issue. If you know that's going to be me next time, and you're accountable to whatever you did this time more so, I think that would be a good learning opportunity as well.
Okay, that's good. Well, that was most of the questions I wanted to find out from you four, was just your progression through the course so far. But before we finish up, I'm going to just turn the tables quickly. Do any of you four have a question for me? I'm a dinosaur. I've been around forever. Not as long as some, though.
What do you think has been the best progression in podiatry since you graduated? Like, what have you been happy to see has changed up a bit?
I think the thing that I've noticed the most is that podiatry is more recognized now as a health profession. When I first graduated, if I said to anybody, I'm a podiatrist, they go, oh, you look after children. I go, no, that's a pediatrician. No one knew what a podiatrist was, or you said, I'm a podiatrist. Oh, you're a chiropodist. No, I'm not a chiropodist. I'm a podiatrist. Used to frustrate me so much. And I was sometimes embarrassed to tell people I was a podiatrist because people would call me a chiropodist, or they wouldn't know what I did and had to try and explain it. They say, oh, you cut old people's toenails. And it didn't sort of have much, I don't know, I didn't feel I had a lot of prestige 30-something years ago. Now, I think podiatry as a profession has grown so much. There's so many opportunities that when I say to someone now, I'm a podiatrist, I feel really proud to say that I'm a podiatrist.
Yeah.
And if anyone says to me, oh, I'm not sure what to do, I want to do something in the health industry, I proudly tell them, you should think about doing podiatry. Can't get my daughter to do it, but she doesn't like feet. Oh, I don't like feet. So that's probably the biggest change I've seen, that podiatry as a professional body has grown a lot, but I still think it needs to grow a bigger set and needs to push harder. And we're not on a totem pole. We're not underneath GPs. We're not underneath physiotherapists or chiropractors. We're up there. We're all in the same rung. We have a different skill set. And when it comes to the foot and ankle, even though the athlete's foot might say nobody knows a foot like the athlete's foot, I think we know it better.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a rant, wasn't it? Josh, you got a question for me at all?
I really did like Bridget's question.
Yeah, so did I.
I think this is a match made in heaven because you live in Cairns. Bridget wants to move to Cairns. You both play the guitar.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Really beautifully.
Yeah. We have a burger.
there are a lot of good burgers there.
There are, yeah.
Mm.
I was up there last week. It was amazing. Hot, so hot, but it was.
It is hot, isn't it? I know. It's really, really hot at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a beautiful place. So, Josh, do you have a question at all?
What would you think would be for like a new grad will be, new grads in 12 months? What's the best piece of advice you think you could give us and any other grads who are listening out there?
I think, well, you've all got to find work, which is important. I know some people graduate and they go off and travel for 3 or 4 months and they go, I'm going to need a job when I come back. I don't normally advise that. I think have a bit of a holiday, but don't disappear for 3 months and then come back. I think it's really important to just keep honing your skills. So regardless of what job you take, whether you move into wound care, is don't lose your biomechanical skills. If you end up at a sports clinic, don't lose your skills on doing nail surgery. Just try to, I think in the first couple of years, I think you've got to experience as many parts of podiatry as you can to figure out what you really like. Because you might think you like a certain part of podiatry. When I graduated, I thought I want to just do sports podiatry. I want to work with elite athletes, until I worked with elite athletes. Biggest pain in the ass going around. They don't listen to anything. They get too much advice, read too many magazines, go on Dr. Google all the time. And they are really difficult to work with. So I worked out I preferred weekend warriors.
Yeah.
And but I still worked out, I still liked orthotics, biomechanics, and sports. So I think for a new graduate, is just be open-minded to all the possibilities. And when you're going for a job interview, at the same time, remember that you're interviewing the employer. And if they say that there's mentoring, you want to get details on what's involved in the mentoring. When does it happen? And I think if you work somewhere and they don't live up to the mentoring within the first month, then this is going to sound really bad. Put your resignation in, because there'll be other jobs out there. Because if they're not going to mentor you in that first month, it's never going to happen. And I think it's so important that there is mentorship there. You've got someone literally holding your hand through those first 3, 4, 12 months. It's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Evelyn, do you have a question at all? Don't have to have one.
Actually, I think I don't have one.
No, that's okay. Caitlin?
So you went to QUT, didn't you?
I did, yeah, back in A block in
A block.
A block
in
George
moved.
Street. I know. I went for a walk past there not so long ago, and I went, oh, there's the old building. QUT's changed a lot. So, yes.
Yeah. So what was your favorite subject back at QUT? Out of the 4 years you were there, what was like your favorite subject?
Well, when I was there, it was only a 3-year course, but I did 4 years because they enjoyed my company. So my favorite subject was making orthotics. The actual,
of course.
The actual making of the, because I was going to be an art teacher. That was what I was thinking. I'm going to be an art teacher. But then a guy that I went through school with from grade 1 through to grade 12, Lyndon Hommening, he ended up, I went back and repeated grade 12 because I like to do everything twice. And he went off and did podiatry. Then when I was filling in my preferences, I was thinking art teacher. And I said, Lyndon, what are you doing? He says, I'm doing podiatry. I went, oh my God, what's that? Sounds good. He goes, feet. And I said, there's a course in feet. Well, I'll be buggered. And he said, well, actually, he said, I think you'd be really good at it because of your art background. They make these things called orthotics, things that go inside shoes. And he described it. I went, oh, okay. So that's how I ended up doing podiatry, was because Lyndon told me about orthotics. So I was always really keen to know what one was. And then when I saw him, and then when I saw how you made them, I was in my element. And I used to make them for the other students too. And they'd hand them in and say that they were their own.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they pay, and some of them would actually pay me money to make their orthotics for them, because I just enjoyed doing it, and I could do them fast and I could make them really well. So it was just, that was my favorite subject, is just doing the orthotics and understanding the prescription behind. I really want to know why is this one 4 degrees this and why is this one that? And what happens if I change certain things and if I skive something down? So I was always reading extra articles just about orthotics. So yeah. Thank you for that question. That brought back some memories.
Awesome.
Okay, so I want to thank you for coming on here, sharing, because I know this must be weird. Like if you haven't been on podcasts before, like Josh being the professional, it can sometimes be a little bit strange, but just letting us into it brings back memories. Actually, it was so long ago that I was just finished third year, and you probably found that the first 3 years has gone so fast. Believe me, the next 12 months is going to go even faster, and then you're going to be qualified and let loose. So I want to thank you for coming on and just sharing your journey so far. And I'd love to talk to the 4 of you again this time next year when you all graduate. Would be fantastic. We'll put it in the diary.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Thanks
definitely.
for
So much for having us.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you, Tyson. Thanks.
Thank
Okay,
you.
see ya.
Later.